What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting these possibilities for you to consider, enabling you to come up with your own conclusions. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow decoders around the world, code breakers around the world, man, wherever you're at. My name is Logan. I'm going to be your tour guide for this presentation. And using the scripted reality platform, we are up to number 28, scripted reality number 28. This is a code breaking favorite for many of you. Got a lot of feedback over the years. I love the scripted reality series. Yeah, I do too. So here's number 28. Today is March 28th. Did I plan that? Absolutely not. Because I'm just following the voice in my head. As you can see in the background, we have some scientists here. So maybe you're a scientist. But we're going to be talking about genetic profiling. We're going to be talking about DNA. Yeah. So if you have some of that in your chart, in your astrological chart, maybe you have a lot of Scorpio energy or Ophiuchus, or probably if you're into serial killers, if you like studying those kinds of things, science and forensic science, this is going to be for you. I promise this will leave you satisfied. Put on a pair of headphones, block out the outside world. Let's begin. So we have the 3 topics, just 3, for this entire presentation. The very first one, profiling. The second one, fingerprint. And the third and final one, aha. You ever have an aha moment? Why do you think that is? Well, because you're being used as an instrument. That's the aha moment, is the voice in your head coming from somewhere else, not from you, not from me. That's my final answer. I'm going to support that through this presentation. So let's start off with the first topic, profiling. I'm going to start with this man right here, Sir Alec John Jeffreys. This amazing man, right? Born in England, and he's known for DNA profiling. A matter of fact, he's the man who created it. He is the guy responsible for solving a lot of murders, because before this was taken on, there were a lot of murders and a lot of cases that went cold cases. A lot of them have been solved using DNA profiling. DNA profiling. So this is the man responsible for that. And then the very first person to ever get convicted using the DNA profiling is Colin Pitchfork. Here he is right here. He was a murderer and rapist. And here is my final answer before I jump into this. These 2 men, Colin and Alec, didn't have a choice. They were destined to do what they did. Yep. So if you think this guy right here, oh, well, he had a choice. He didn't have to murder those people. He didn't have to rape those girls. Nope. No way, man. 600 plus videos showing that people don't have choices. We live in a duality of good and evil, folks. And I'm going to support that over this entire presentation. So stick around till all the way to the end. Let's start off by comparing these 2 men. I got the arrows pointing. Colin was the first person known for being convicted using Alec's technique of genetic fingerprinting and the DNA profiling. So let's add up their birthdays, shall we? Yeah, let's do that. I mean, Colin's birthday is 23. The word blood equals 23. I mean, that's a dead giveaway. But you can see their life paths when you do it through this technique. Colin's got the 105. Alec has the 79. 79, as you know, is tied to the Alpha and Omega. It's tied to the sun and moon. Yeah, that which is kind of in a big way what's using us. 79. But when you add them up, this is where you get the big truth bomb. 184. So Colin, the first guy, Alec, the first guy. Two firsters in our reality, but connected because one is being convicted of a technique, the other one created. 184. If you know what this number is, you already have your jaw on the floor, right? Because you know that it's connected to our freaking DNA. These are the 5 elements that make up RNA, ribonucleic acid, and DNA. Hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus. And even when you look at how ridiculous this is, what this is spelling out, hydrogen is the sun. Anytime you ever see hydrogen, it means the sun. Carbon, matter. Nitrogen and oxygen, the air we breathe. And phosphorus, light. This is what this whole thing means, this string right here. And when you add up, called the molar mass, you get 74. This is also going to lead to the element arsenic, the 33rd element on the periodic table. But there's the 184. So let me back up. So these guys right here, Alec and Colin, the first man to create DNA profiling and the first man to get convicted of using that technique, their birthdays add up to the number 184, which is tied to the 5 elements that make up our DNA. This right here, see, the clues are always in chemistry because we're using chemistry. And this is the big W, tungsten, called wolfram, the wolf, used in filament for light bulbs. That's for a different story. So we're going to go and branch off on this, the 184, since it's right here. And this 184, when you jumble it up, becomes the vesica piscis. This is the all-seeing eye of Shalom Ra, which I've already done a decode on it. I've done another decode, an extended one for the Patreon members. Big shout out to all of you. Thank you for all your support. This is the measurement of the vesica piscis. It's the square root of 3, 265, 153. You add it up, you get 418. There's the number right there. And it's going to lead not just to tungsten, but it will also connect to this element called rhenium, which is one of the elements that spells out Ra or Re, which is why I have Ra over here. Because Ra or Re, which obviously is tied to tungsten in our DNA, is tied to the radius and the circle, which makes up the matrix, and 2 of these circles provide that vesica piscis. And this is the all-seeing eye right here. That's what this whole thing leads to. So these 2 men, my final answer, didn't have a choice at what they did in their lives. He's serving a life sentence, and he is glorified. That's the role he got. Which one would you want to have in your life if you could pick one? What, you think Colin had a choice? No. Not a chance. That's the role that he got. So I'm going to extend upon this and show you how it's right there. The DNA is right there. You can't miss it. This is not the first time I've shown this, but you bring those 2 circles together. There's the fish and the ichthys and the Christ and the story of Christianity. Yeah, it's DNA. So if you want eternal life, which is what the Christ promises you, yeah, you'll get another bag of bones. You'll get more deoxyribonucleic acid. See, because it really comes down to this. You have the messenger, the RNA, which is carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and hydrogen. And then you have the DNA, the deoxyribonucleic acid. And this is the prison right here. This is the number 8. That's what this is. That's how all this stuff works. And they tied to the fish bladder. That's why this is so revered in Christianity. Because it's tied to the vesica piscis, the 2 circles, and it's tied to the God of the Bible, which is Ra. Already covered this in the Tower of Ra and the Watchtower and et cetera, et cetera. So we're just going to keep going on this right here. And we're going to bring in the numerology of both the ribonucleic acid and the deoxy ribonucleic acid, which is the serpent, the single strand and the double strand. And when you reduce these down all the way down to the single digits, you get the 2 and the 6. If you bring it together, you're going to get 26. 26 is tied to iron, and that's in our blood, which is in our DNA. And if you add 2 and 6 together, you're going to get 8, and 8 is right here. It's right on the deoxyribonucleic acid. But when you bring chemistry into this, it tells you the story. It's helium, the sun, hydrogen and helium. Helium is the first element that they use to measure the sun. The corona, this is where you're going to get coronavirus. And then we have us as a bag of bones, carbon, the deoxyribonucleic acid. Carbon, 6. 666. This is going to be atoms. 6 plus 12 is 18, adding up the neutrons, protons, and electrons. And the numerology of Adam in Hebrew is 18. Yeah, not an accident there. So is Jesus. So is Christ. Carbon. Helium and carbon. The sun becoming ribonucleic acid. The sun becoming matter. DNA. And now we get into this number 8. That's what it looks like. So let's get into the second topic now. Fingerprint. We all have these unique fingerprints. Well, here it is. This is a big truth bomb right here. A big one. This is a humdinger. Slide. So it comes down to this, folks. It comes down to mathematics now. You take chemistry and you bring it into mathematics and you add in the great Chaldean numerology. See, the sine wave and the cosine wave, they add up to the number 74, which is exactly these 5 elements that make up RNA and DNA, that make up the nucleotides for RNA and DNA, 74, which is right here, folks. See, so now you can see, folks, this is it, man. You see, the sine wave and the cosine wave, and I already did how to decode using sine wave and cosine waves. I already showed it in the how-to series, how to decode using the sine waves, because they're big. It's mathematics. So the one I'm showing you here, which is obviously tied to the sun and tied to Ra and Re, this is the number 314 and the fingerprint called the sine and cosine wave. That's why this topic's called fingerprint. The fingerprint of numbers are the sine and cosine waves, which is our DNA and RNA. And when you take 88 and 226 and you add it up, you're going to get 314. That's why Ra is pi. Pi is the perfect circle. Pi is the never-ending moment of time. It's this right here. I'm going to go back to this slide in a second, but it's this. It's the sun. See, this right here this circle is the monad in Greek. Like the Greeks say the boss, the God is the monad. Yeah, it's this. There's a little dot in the middle, the circle. And this circle creates pi. This is time. It's Ra, and it paints the sky. And this right here is the sine wave, which is the RNA, which makes up the DNA. The deoxyribonucleic acid from the ribonucleic acid. This right here is an image of the sun taken on the same day of every month for 12 months. You got to go 13 months to complete the cycle. That's why it's 13. Sol is 13. 373 is the 74th prime number. 74 is right here. If we just go to numerology, 373. 373 is the 74th prime number, you see? And I just go right back here. Where was I at? Here we go. There it is, 373. Soul, spirit, sun, Ra. And you can see there's the sine wave. This is where you're going to get the dollar bill sign. This is how big and magnificent a 13 is. It's the sine wave. It's pi. That's why we're doing the 3.14. 88 plus 226 is 314. So the sine wave and cosine wave of 314 is 1 and 9, or 9 and 1. The two opposite ends of the spectrum in the numbering sequence. Adam and Eve, they both add up to the numbers 9 and 1 in Hebrew. Just so we can be really crystal clear. So this is really what it looks like extended and really highlighted and superimposed and zoomed in. Again, this is one of the greatest things I've ever discovered. Nature. This is it, man. This is one of the bosses. The sun, the moon. It's the sine wave. Okay, that's how magnificent this is. It's tied to Ra or Re. And then all I have to do is add in the flower of life. Maybe this is the first time you're seeing this. You see this S curve, which is this, is right there in the flower of life. It encompasses the sun. So I'm going to show you that. So let's go to a flower of life, put a circle in the middle, the center point. And now we're just going to put that sine wave in there. There's the sine wave right there. You see it. You can see it, right? I hope so. It's right here, the sine wave. Yeah. And the circle. This is the circle. And the line that goes through, which is this. The line that goes through is this line that goes through. And the circle creates that sine wave, which dictates and narrates the so below. And then you just add in the deoxyribonucleic acid. And just like that, we have the vesica piscis, the all-seeing eye. Then this is the number 8, which is what ribonucleic acid and deoxyribonucleic acid add up to, is 8. This is what it's all about, folks. So now you have the eyes to see how big this is, that the DNA, the deoxyribonucleic, is controlled by the ribonucleic acid, which is the sine wave, which I would imagine the sun and the moon, create the sine and cosine wave. There's that cross. This is the prison. This is Christianity. This is eternal life. This is what it means to be an eternal life human being. You're going to get reincarnated back into deoxyribonucleic acid. This is the prison right here, the number 8. Okay? All these add up to the number 8. Okay. So let's get into the third and final topic. Aha! We're going to go back to the actual mainstream stuff here. We had to create that so you could see this. This is all about. So this guy creates the genetic profiling, the DNA, which is this. Where did he get his idea from? He had an aha moment. So look at what it says. You want to talk about a scripted reality? Here it is. Jeffrey says he had a eureka moment in his lab on September 10th, 1984. This is what it is. It means that you suddenly understand something that you didn't understand before. It was previously incomprehensible. An aha moment. Aha! Oh my God, I figured it out. Where did the idea come from? His mind. But it's not his own. So when you just take these keywords, this is the code, man. This is how you break the code down, right? You take these keywords, eureka moment, it's put there in parentheses. You just add his full birth certificate name, eureka moment, and you get the 113. And the 113, of course, which I covered in Let's Talk About Everything Happens for a Reason. Well, why does everything happen for a reason? Because we're being role played, you see. So this man had the idea, but it wasn't his idea. And the eureka moment, the aha moment that a lot of you have, these great ideas that you have, they're not yours. You're certainly having them, but they're not yours because we're being role played. That's why everything happens for a reason. 113 is the 30th prime number. 30. This is the element nihonium, which leads to our blood. And here's the blood types. And, the 286 is the weight of nihonium. I already covered this, and Let's Talk About Everything Happens for a Reason. So I won't cover that too much there, but let's talk about the date. The date that he discovered it on, had his aha moment, September 10th, 1984. Here's the numerology of it, 122. It's so fascinating. If I go to the periodic table, which I didn't cover this, but here it is right here. It's antimony. See, it has the isotope 122. There it is. Well, it's your brain. Yeah, it means not alone. Yeah, that's because the voice in your head is the supernatural. The 122, man. His aha moment he had on September 10th. But this 122 becomes the numerology of the guy that he uses, his first amazing idea. First person ever convicted to use the DNA profiling that Alec created. Alec John Jeffries, Colin Pitchfork, 122. So this guy has his aha moment with a numerology of 122. And then their birth certificate names, or at least what they have in Wikipedia, is 122. Coincident? No, this is how the code works. This is how it's all coded. The code that writes the final product. The final product is we read about Colin Pitchfork, the first person convicted, using DNA evidence, and Alec Jeffries, who creates it. That's the final product, but behind that, you're looking at it. He has his aha moment. And what's the card on September 10th, 1984? The Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Diamonds. September 10th, go to the boilerplate chart so we can see very crystal clear. Here's September, and here's the 10th, Ace of Diamonds. Zooming in, there it is, the Ace of Diamonds on the 10th, just so you know. Okay, September 10th. And it's the Ace of Pentacles to give us the picture. Yeah, you know what this card is? The gift. This is his aha moment. This is the GOD. This is whatever's running this reality. It's like, here you go, Alec. Here's a great idea. And he's like, oh my God, I had a eureka moment. Yeah, based on this. This is the gift. Are you seeing this, folks? This is how scripted our reality is. And this is the beauty in tarot and the dates on the calendar. This man had an idea, but it wasn't his idea. Final answer. So going back to Colin Pitchfork, first person convicted, here's his birth card. He was born on 23rd of March. King of Clubs. Interesting, 9/11, King of Clubs. 26, the 26th card in the deck, tied to our blood. This is the 26th card in the deck. What is the 26th element? Iron. What is in our blood, folks? Iron. The guy has the card of iron, man, and he was the first person convicted of using DNA profiling. And this is so fascinating because this man, I covered this in my DNA Decoded, Johannes Friedrich Meischer. He was the first guy to isolate nucleic acid. His birth card is the King of Clubs. He was born on the 226th day of the year. 226 is radium or Ra. Why does Ra keep showing up? I ain't looking for it. How many keys on a piano? 88. I'm not looking for this, folks. It's showing up for me because this is what I'm being shown. Right here, he paved the way. This guy paved the way for the identification of DNA as the carrier of inheritance. And then this man right here is the first guy to use the DNA profiling? The same birth card? No, man, come on. This is the script that's playing out beyond the final product that people don't look at. This is the screenplay. So let's look at his birthday. He was born on August 13th, 1844. Do his numerology of his birthday, 83. 83 is tied to March 23rd on leap year. On a leap year, March 23rd is the 83rd day of the year. Why March 23rd? Because it's Colin's birthday. 1960 he was born on. Guess what 1960 was? A leap year. Leap years are easy. You just take the year and you divide it by 4. If it comes out to an even number, it's a leap year every 4 years. So you mean to tell me this guy was born on a leap year, the 83rd day of the year, and this man has a numerology for his entire birthday of 83, who paved the way for the identification of DNA? And this guy gets convicted using DNA evidence for the very first dude. And this guy's the very first guy to isolate nucleic acid? You can tell my excitement here, folks. Because it's so clear. It is as crystal clear as you're going to get. That people don't have choices. They just live through their screenplay. And they got to do what they got to do. And you know, the thing is usually, when I look at someone like this, I'm grateful I didn't get that. Can you imagine getting a code like that? Guy, and I would imagine he completely oblivious, doesn't know this code. Like most people don't even want to look at this code. They'll refute it. Nah, that's crazy. Yeah, well, I got 600 videos showing you and supporting it as evidence, as my forensic evidence, being like, this is using computer science, really. The question is, folks, what is your code? What are you doing? What did you get used for? What are you being used for? I mean, I know what I'm being used for to show you this, the tour guide here, amongst other things, doing readings for people, astrology, numerology, showing people how amazing they are. If you don't know what your position is on the world stage, then the most important thing you should be doing is discovering what that is. How do you do that? By studying your code. Astrology, numerology, human design, personality types, Enneagram, as many things as you can get your hands on to figure it out. And you'll get confirmations, and you'll have your aha moments. This is what we're moving towards, folks. Realizing that we're not in control of this reality. We're living in a movie. It's a screenplay, and you're the most important person in the screenplay. You got to figure out what you're being used for, and you'll have your aha moments. Okay? So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Scripted reality number 28 in the books. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. That's all I got for today. My name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. Until next time, we will see you later.